welcome everybody back to the Inside Our Galaxy podcast. I'm your host, Eric Hernandez. As always, the Galaxy remain winless in preseason, falling once again to Austin FC. 3-1 was the final score. We're going to give our recap of that game, what our thoughts were, and just what is the state of the LA Galaxy right now. I know last week we talked about should we be concerned? Is this just the preseason, the guys getting their shape in and everything like that? We're probably going to be discussing a little bit of about that again as well, but of course we're going to talk about that recap. So a little bit of Galaxy news, some injury news sprinkled throughout the last few days, and then of course we're going to preview our final two preseason games of this week, one on Wednesday and then one on Saturday for the Coachella Valley Invitational. So we're going to be discussing about that, and of course with me as always is my co-host LA Galaxy Central as his mic falls down. But other than that, How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, actually. I feel a lot better right now. And yesterday we had the Super Bowl on. That was a really good game, unlike the Galaxy game that didn't go so well. But other than that, I think I'm doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, Super Bowl was very entertaining yesterday. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs won again, back-to-back. The last time that team went back-to-back was the New England Patriots, which is my team, of course. But, we're relevant, I guess. But yeah, the Super Bowl was pretty good. You had a good time, spent time with family, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just watched it on my own pretty much. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just spent it with family. A lot of just shenanigans with that game, but it was a fun game, entertaining game. Halftime performance was okay, but Super Bowl Sunday. Actually, but you did not like Usher's performance?
Not really, no. And I thought the commercials used to be better too, and the commercials now are just not very good.
Yeah, commercials were not that great this year. The first half of Usher, the actual game was pretty fun. The halftime performance, first half of it, did not like it, but Usher definitely did pick it up in the end for that second half. But you know what this means after the Super Bowl is over, right? That means that the MLS season is almost here. It's actually less than 2 weeks away till the home opener for the LA Galaxy, so that's something to be good and pumped about now that the NFL season's over. But
I don't know about that, though.
Well, yeah, there may be a little bit of concerns going into the season, but of course, but of course though, with that happening, now we're inching closer to the regular season for MLS. But let's talk about a preseason though, because we did have a preseason game on Super Bowl Sunday, very early game at 10 a.m. Like I said, 3-1 was the final score against Austin FC. It was 1-1 first half, and then second half, that's where we sort of had this little collapse once again. Austin ended up scoring 2 more goals in there, but for the most part, in the beginning, first half wasn't too bad. You saw a little bit of an early goal for Austin, and that was something that wasn't great in the first half, but overall, just team performance, it wasn't too bad until the second half. But of course, we don't win again. Still haven't gotten a win in preseason. But what are your thoughts against Austin on Sunday?
Yeah, we haven't gotten a win in a long time in the regular season and the preseason. It's just been a long winless drought going back to last season. But I think this preseason game was the best one we've had so far. I think we did some things really well, especially like in the first 60 minutes. I think we moved the ball really well. Our defense looked tactically more organized. Our attack is still super weak, which we'll probably get into. But yeah, letting in that early goal wasn't very good. It's still a problem from last season, and that's what a lot of people are concerned about, is that we have a lot of our same problems from last season, which it should be a concern when you look at it. But yeah, I think the last 2 goals for Austin came later in the game when we just rotated a bunch of players. They rotated players out. There was players in different positions. They didn't really know what they were doing, and the scoreline says 3-1, but I don't really think it was that bad of a game. It was probably our best preseason game, but yeah, you're still winless. There's still a lot of concerns. The season's creeping closer. We're not really looking to get any signings in at the moment, so yeah, I am pretty concerned right now for sure.
Yeah, I agree though. I think this was still, a good performance for the Galaxy despite the 3-1, like I said, in the first half. And I agree, we moved the ball very well. Offense, I think we were, honestly, the build-up play for the Galaxy wasn't that bad. It was just the final, that final, the execution for the Galaxy to get that goal in. And you even saw it with the Gino Vivi goal. That was a very good goal, that build-up and everything, the assist, just like that was pretty good from the LA Galaxy on their part. So I think team wise, it wasn't that bad. Yes, defensively in the first half, they get that early goal, but they sort of shaped themselves and like I said, tactically they looked a lot better. But even then, I still have these concerns with the Galaxy and especially defensively because I even tweeted like right after that game ended. It's like it's still preseason, but man, you got to have some concern with this team defensively. And we've heard Greg Vanney talk about like, oh, we had 67 goals scored on us. We want to cut that in half for this season. You have 9 goals scored on you in 4 games, like. That doesn't look like you're cutting things in half, if it,
No.
you know what I mean. So it's just like when you look at that aspect of it, that's really just like that you can't avoid it. You really can't. And I'm not trying to panic. I know a lot of people are exaggerating. I'm not trying to be those guys either, but you still look at this team in a sense and you say, how is this team going to look like it at the end of the day? But there were still some players that didn't play in this game. We still need some players that need to come in and might not even play a single preseason game. So it's like, it's concerning at the moment, but at the same time, like I guess it's preseason, but you still see those issues on the field for sure.
Yeah, I'll say that too. Like we talked about, like early after MLS Cup, like we want all our players to here in preseason, get everybody a full preseason. Once preseason games start, we get everybody on the field. That's just not happening at all. Like you see a lot of our players. Jovic hasn't played a preseason game. Brugman hasn't played a preseason game. Cáceres only went 30 minutes. Jalen Neal, unfortunately, we'll get into that, out a long time even into the season. Gabriel Peck is not into the team, and he's not even going to be available for a single preseason game. Whoever our third DP is, even if we sign one right now, which unfortunately doesn't even look like we're close to anybody, they wouldn't even be here probably by week 1. So it's like you look at this entire team, you're like, nobody's getting a preseason, and it's kind of like last season again. You're throwing kind of everybody out there to try to figure it out in the regular season where we have a tough schedule, and that is going to be very concerning early on.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And the beginning of this Galaxy schedule is not easy either. Especially, I think they have a lot of away games too as well, to start the season. But yeah, I mean, it's concerning. Again, you can say like those players that haven't came in yet. That may be a reason. It's like a reason to say that this team isn't fully there. But still, though, some of these players are starters. Some of these players could be starters or fighting for a starting spot, and they haven't really I guess shown much of it yet. At least, defensively, like, I just don't see it as of right now. And really, we've mentioned this before. It's like we haven't really done much to address the defense. Like, I mean, we replaced a right back with a good right back with another good right back. We got a slightly better depth piece for left back, and then all your center backs are still the same. So it's like, did we really address anything in that defense? Like, no, we didn't. And it shows really in these preseason games that we did nothing to this defense, or we did very little to this defense. And honestly, like, I don't know, like, I'm not too confident right now with that defense right now, especially how many times we've talked about it, throughout last season and even through this preseason.
Yeah, but I mentioned it a few weeks ago. Like, could you do anything with this defense, though? Because you had so many players under contract. And those players, I'm not going to judge Will Kuntz for because he is a first-year sporting director. And a lot of these guys Greg Vanney brought in, like Eric Zavaleta, Chris Mavinga. Why do you think they're on the team? Because they were on Greg Vanney's Toronto FC team that was really good. I don't think Will Kuntz really cares to have these guys around. Just like when Greg Vanney was the Galaxy coach first time around, I don't think he cared to have Leggett and Steres around. As you saw in year 2, they were off the team. So I think we could see a similar thing with Will Kuntz and those two center backs in the offseason. But for right now, this season, they're going to be on the team.
Yeah, I mean that's your depth. That's everything that you're going to need for this defense. But again, not too confident about it. I mean, seriously though, like 9 goals in 4 games, like that's just not. That just doesn't sit right with me. And I know we dealt with that last year, and I guess you can say we should be used to it. But it's like at the same time, it's like no, it's like you shouldn't. Like that's really bad. And again, it's just funny to think that they want to cut this thing in half, and it's like you haven't really cut anything at all.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean, here's the thing, too, is like we were talking about before, and I was one of those people, like a lot of Galaxy fans were saying, buy out Chris Mavinga, buy out Eric Zavaleta. But when you look at it, we already bought out so many players. Like we bought out Villafania. We paid a team to take Cabral. We bought out Sega Koulibaly. We bought out Chase Gasper. There's probably other players I'm thinking of that I can't even remember right now. But as for the Galaxy, like, can you financially afford to cut more players? Like, would it be a good thing, or do you just have to write it out? It's a very difficult situation, and unfortunately, it does speak a lot to how sporting director Greg Vanney was with this team, and he had a lot of very poor signings, especially defensively.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's kind of funny because it's defensive coach and defensive minded person. It's like
Yeah, really.
and you look at this defense, you say I don't know if it's run by a defensive minded person, but still though, yeah, I mean it these contracts and stuff like that, like I'm assuming they will get addressed. And you're right, it is a difficult situation to say, like, should we cut these guys now? Should we buy out these guys now? It's like, because at the end of the day, that's a waste of money, and you're not trying to waste too much money, especially when this league is still run on by a salary cap and stuff like that, right? So it's like you don't really want to. That's not always the easiest situation. Obviously, in certain situations, it is. Like, for example, like Kevin Cabral, it's like that you had to do anything you needed to do to get him out, even if that meant paying half of his salary over there while he's at Colorado, right? It's like,
That's
so
bad
there's certain
answers.
so there's like certain circumstances where you can do it, but it's like it's not like a snap of the fingers, like, go away, like, type of deal, so it's like it is very difficult to see that.
The fact that the
But
fact that we did that for a DP though is insane. Really, like I've never heard that happening for a DP player before.
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But at the same time, it did need to be done. At the end of the day, it's like I don't think really much. A lot of people are complaining about that, but at the grand scheme of it, it is pretty wild. Um, but anyways, I know we kind of just went off with the negatives right away. But any positives you saw in this game? Like, did anything you thought was pretty good from the Galaxy in that game?
I think our two young players looked really good. I think Julian Alde played a really good game in defense, and I think Edwin Cedillo really controlled the midfield and had a bounce back game from Charlotte. So our two young pieces were looking to take a jump this year. I think had really good games.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of the youngsters, they're looking pretty good. One thing that I thought was pretty positive was, I guess, sort of our winger depth, right? Like, I think when you look at how our wingers have been playing, they've actually been playing pretty good. You saw Diego Fagundes; he got a goal against St. Louis, and he hasn't been playing very bad. Gino Vivi gets a goal, with Austin, so that's not, that's a pretty good thing too. So you're seeing a lot of production from those guys in the preseason, and I think that's pretty good to see, because I think that was also another issue, I guess you can say, last year, was after Tyler Boyd and Douglas Costa, who was going to be your guys who were going to be able to step up, So I think that's another good thing that I like from the Galaxy so far, and we haven't even seen a single minute from Johnny Perez, which is pretty crazy too. So you even still have him somewhere. So it's like, I think right now the way that the depth for the wingers have been this preseason, I think it's been pretty good. So that's another positive I'd like to take out of that as well. But other than that, I mean, I don't really know. Like, I think I was really too much focused on that defensive side for the Galaxy. Like, I didn't really look at it too much for the positives, but at the same time, there was some good things, and I think that first half really was probably the best we've seen from the Galaxy so far, for sure. But you have any other points from that, or?
No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I know we talked a little bit about players, and you talked a little bit about it, but any other players that kind of stood out to you in this game against Austin?
Usually we do it positionally though. No, that's what I was waiting for.
Oh, okay. I mean, let's go defensively first. Let's go on the defense. Even though we kind of already talked about it. Anybody that stood out to you in that defense for that game?
So I kind of forgot what was the starting defense again. I know you had Auda in there. You had, I think, Mikovic in goal. I could be wrong. I don't know who was at
Yeah,
center
you
back,
had
but I know Yoshida was there. Cáceres played 30 minutes.
Cáceres. Yeah,
And Yamane. Yeah, that was the
and
defense.
Yamana. Yeah, that was your starting defense for that game.
Yeah, Cáceres looked fairly good early on. He only played 30 minutes, but he did look pretty good. But at the same time, I don't think you're going to start him early on into the season, coming off a very serious injury and a limited preseason. But, I mean, at least when he played, he looked kind of good. Yamane looked okay. Auda, I think, was the best player in that defense. Yoshida looked fine. Mikovic looked okay. The starting defense was okay. I think it just kind of fell apart when a lot of the guys came rotated in the second half. But the actual starting defense, I don't think it was too bad, besides for the early goal, which we still have to work on. But other than that, I think they held their own the rest of the game that they played.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that. That they held their own. Cáceres getting minutes is a good thing too, because obviously him coming back from injury is we're gonna need him, and also just in general, like, we don't know how this starting center back pairing is going to be. And so that's another thing you got to look at as well. It's like how many pairings there have been in the center for the defense, at least.
I'm glad
Who's going to
Yoshida
be.
called that out last year because it's been a problem for years, not even just last season.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's been a problem, and that's the good thing as well for preseason is that you get to at least try what's possibly the best one. Like you're not doing this within the season, which was a big issue last year, and Yoshida just didn't like that. And the good thing is you're doing it in preseason, getting to see who he works with well and who might be that starting spot because it should be Jalen Neal, but of course we'll get into that later. But like we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that was defense. Let's see, the midfield you had Cerrillo, you had Delgado, and you had Aguirre. So you got two young guys in there along with Mark Delgado, who's a veteran. So midfield, how'd you feel about that one, or at least the starting midfield?
Cedillo was really good. I think Cedillo might have been my man of the match for me. He did a really good job controlling the game and pulling the strings. He was one of the best players on the field that day. And Delgado, I mean, here's the thing with him. He's still working his way back to fitness. He's one of those guys that he impacts the Galaxy with his energy and all the running he does on the field, covering spaces that other players don't get. So I just think right now, if Delgado, like, he's not putting in 100% effort, and why would he? It's preseason. He doesn't need to tire himself out, possibly pick up another injury. So it makes sense. Delgado kind of looks a little worse right now. I think once the season starts, he can raise that level of intensity. And Daniel Aguirre he was just really poor. I don't know. I've never liked Daniel Aguirre as a starter. We've always kind of said like he's better as a substitute coming off the bench to manage a tie, manage a win, or just kind of close out a game. Not really a good guy you want starting. So I was not very impressed with him.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I actually kind of did like Mark in this game. I thought he did a couple good things in there. He did get the assist for the goal, so like I liked Mark in this game, and Sergio did play very well. Daniel Aguirre, like yeah, I guess he didn't have his best game. I think he was one of those players who got subbed off early too, right? For Tucker Lively. I think I could be wrong.
Might have been the second half. I don't know. It could have been
or
right
maybe it
after
was
in the second half.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could have been probably like early in the second half, but he was one of those players who didn't, I guess, play as much. But yeah, I mean for the midfield it was okay. Like I saw some good things out of some of those players, but midfield was all right. Cedillo, yeah, probably was the standout in those positions. So I'd agree with that as well. Let's see. So now you got your front three. You have Fagundes, you have Barry, and then you had Vivi in that one. How do we feel about that one? How do we feel about those positions?
Yeah, I really like Fagundes. Like we've said the past couple of games, he looks like he's in a lot better shape. He looks a lot sharper already, which is really good to see. He's a lot more aggressive. He just has to get better at his final end product because against Austin, he should have had a few goals, but unfortunately he did not. And Gino Vivi did all right. It was his first start. He scored a goal. Didn't really do too much after that, but kind of looked lively. Miguel Berry, I mean, it's not a good situation, man. And like I've always said, he's not really an MLS caliber player. He's kind of, for me, just on the cusp of MLS, barely MLS level, USL level player. Last year he scored one goal, and then the previous year of DC he scored like 2 goals in 28 matches. It's been so ever since that 1 year with Columbus where he did decently well, it's been very rough for him. And this preseason, when we've watched him on TV, it's just not been very good for him. And the fact that right now, going into the season, he's projected to be our backup striker, our number two, that's bad. There's no other way around it. That's a really bad place to be in at the striker position.
Yeah, I know it really is bad, and like we said, like at least we're seeing some of our depth get some production this preseason. And like I mentioned earlier, like the wingers, like Fagundes, like Vivi, who got at least they're doing something. We haven't really seen much from Miguel Berry, and so that does give me a concern because we have no idea what Joveljic is going to be like this season, right? So even if Joveljic isn't the guy, at some point it's like you're not going to be confident at all with Miguel Berry taking that spot, So yeah, I mean that'd probably just be the only issue from the offense. But yeah, I mean Diego Fagundes looks good, looks in shape. I think he is taking a little bit more chances when it comes to his shots, and didn't take some chances as well in this game, which I think he just needs to focus on that as well. And then yeah, Vivi for his first game, bagged the goal. What pretty good, really good finish for that goal as well. And then looked like he fit in. I guess you could say would be the term for that. So it looked like he fit in for that game. So yeah, I mean that's probably what I would say as well. But any other points you want to talk about the team? Any of the subs that came in? Anybody that stood out to you there?
No, I still like Tucker Lively. I think he looks pretty good. He could be an interesting player going into the season. Like with Ricky Pooch, we don't really have a backup 10 right now, which I've always said we should use our U22 DP spot on a backup 10 because that makes the most sense. But hey, if Tucker Lively is good and maybe he can be somewhat productive in MLS, like maybe a better version of Efrain Alvarez, maybe he can get some minutes. I don't know. We got to see more of him, but he probably looks like the most promising G2 academy player, not academy because he didn't come from our academy, I believe, but our
Draft
most
player.
promising prospect, I guess, draft pick right now, you would say.
Yeah. If anything, like Tucker to me has been like, I don't really get too hyped on draft picks, and I'm not saying I'm like super hype on Tucker, but like at least from what I've seen, I'm like, okay, like I could probably, see something, right? It'd be interesting to see what they do with him if he goes to G2 or if possibly he is a backup to Ricky Puig this season. I mean, I think he's making a little bit of a case on that he could be that backup, right? Um, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what he does as well. But yeah, when it came to subs, I didn't really think, nobody really stood out to me. Nobody really like, had any game changing, moments for the subs. And if anything, the game changer was that we got scored twice. So that did change the game. But nothing much really after that. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, overall, this game, it wasn't, the first part was good, but then after that just collapsed, it really wasn't good. So this game, I don't know, it's a weird game to look at. It's our best performance, even though we lost 3-1, but I don't know. I guess we just move on into the next game. But you have any other final points about that Austin game before we move on?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, then let's move on from that. Let's talk about some Galaxy news because we did mention it a little bit throughout that recap. Was Jalen Neal out for 6 to 8 weeks with an abdominal injury? This is a pretty big blow because we thought, he was possibly going to be back, maybe even starting. We knew he was recovering from his hernia surgery and stuff like that. So we knew he was going to, he was in his recovery phase, right? We knew that, at some point we were going to see him maybe, a couple weeks, after the season starts or something like that. But now it's even more. It's 6 to 8 weeks, and that's pretty big, especially with how this defense has been looking like right now. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Neal is out. How do you feel about this one? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because, like, again, at the end of last season, we thought by preseason everybody would be ready to go. You saw Jalen Neal's injury. I think he picked it up around Leagues Cup and in August, late July, and you thought like he'd for sure be back by now, but he's still not back. It's been a very hard time dealing with that injury. It's been aggravating him over and over again, and he just can't seem to get over that hump to get back on the field. And now he picked up a pretty significant setback, and he's going to be out more time too. And you saw the 6 to 8 weeks. It could be longer than that too. Like I think it was 6 to 8 weeks back in August. Like maybe you thought he'd be back by October, not back. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if he'll be back by then. And it is very concerning because you look at our center back depth. Caceres, he might be a good player still, but he's coming off a major injury, and I think he's like 36, 37 years old. You see Chris Mavinga, do you want him on the field after, how he's been this preseason or even through last season? Definitely not. So I guess your best bet is Eric Zavaleta, and if your best bet is Eric Zavaleta as your third string center back, that's just not very good at this point. So yeah, it's not good. I don't think this team's in a good position right now. I think in a few weeks we'll talk about our season predictions, but I mean, I guess a preview. I mean, right now, if you had to ask me where I think the season's going to go, it's not going to be towards the upper half of the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, that is just a big blow for this team. Like, I mean, obviously, we saw a lot of good things last year from Jalen Neal. Not only just for club, also for the national team as well. We got to see a lot of great things for Jalen Neal. So we knew that his potential was obviously his ceiling is pretty high, right? Like we there's a lot of things going for him, but yeah, him being out for so long and with this defense and just in general, like how it looks, it's like, I don't know, like that to me that is a big concern. And like you said, who even knows if it's 6 to 8 weeks? Maybe it's even longer. He's had a lot of setbacks since his, the first injury. I mean, it's. I mean, realistically, like you said, it's been since August, right? Like, I mean, August. That's already like 6 months already that he hasn't played, possibly like around there. So it's like that's a lot of time that he hasn't played, and then now, he's expected to even miss more. So, that's a very big blow. We hope for the best. We hope he recovers well. But I mean, yeah, like who knows what that defense is going to look like week 1. But all we know for sure is that he's not going to be on there week 1. So,
yep. Thank you, Greg
yeah.
Bennett, for getting us no depth at center back.
Yeah.
It's his fault, yeah. I mean, Will Kuntz wasn't the sporting director. I'm blaming him.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I guess. I mean, seriously though, like, why didn't we? Like, it really does. It's a big concern. Even if Greg Vanny was the one who brought Mavinga or Zavaleta and all those people, it's like, yeah, I know he was, but it's like, with Will Kuntz at the helm, I thought he would have at least maybe pulled the trigger on at least one of them, and he was actually, when Will Kuntz came in, it's like he was actually, got rid of a lot of people, right? So it's like, I sort of expected something in that defense, but yeah, doesn't look good right now. So yeah, that was big news. Other news that happened, I guess Gabriel Peck is expected to come within a week, but actually won't be playing in the Coachella Valley Invitational. So there's a Gabriel Peck update. I think Brazil also played yesterday as well against Argentina. They ended up losing, actually making them not go to the Olympics for Brazil. So, that's a big blow for Brazil and Gabriel Peck, but at least we know that he'll be coming to the Galaxy soon, just won't be playing a single preseason game. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if he'll start week 1 if he's not going to play a preseason game. I mean, that'd be kind of, I don't know if that'd be the best idea for the Galaxy to do that. But yeah, Gabriel Peck will be coming soon. And yeah, I mean, that's basically all the news. Nothing else really. No rumors, no nothing. Which is also concerning that we have nothing in that area. No rumors or nothing. Yeah. I mean, seriously, like, we haven't heard anything within like these past couple of weeks. Like, that's a problem in my eyes.
Yeah, so here's the thing though. So before, my mindset kind of was like, all right, when are we going to hear something about the third DP? It was kind of a when mindset, like, it's going to be soon. When are we going to hear an agreement? When are we going to hear we're close to the player? Now my mindset's starting to shift to these last couple weeks. Are we going to hear something about a player? Because you kind of look at it for the past like 2 to 3 weeks, nothing, not a single thing. Or if there has been something, it's just been from some bullshit report. Like, there's been nothing going on. So I'm just wondering, like, are we even going to plan to use the DP spot this window? Or are we going to save that for the summertime? I'm really starting to question that now, and the fact that, like, that could be a possibility. Not that I'm saying it's going to happen right now, but, still, like, we really need some offensive help. We really need some players. And it's like, day after day after day after day, I'm waking up hoping for something. It's hopeless, kind of, in a sense now. I feel kind of hopeless these last couple weeks, but, I don't know. Like, it's been very frustrating for sure, because I thought by now we would have something, but we don't.
Yeah, I know we don't have anything. It's that's very concerning, is my point. Like, I mean, I'm assuming there's still some talks going on with players and maybe people that they're interested in, but like the fact that we haven't even heard like a single report or a single update, and with the season coming in less than 2 weeks, that's still concerning. Of course, the window closes in April, so there's still a very good amount of time till they can sign somebody. But at the end of the day, when they said that they wanted these guys for preseason, have a full preseason, which again, that's not going to happen. I mean, it's almost over. So it's like, yeah, whoever we get is going to come in later. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens there. But
yeah, I mean,
it's
look,
still very concerning.
That's what's tough about the Galaxy these last couple of years, though. Not even last couple of years, almost like over a decade, is like our front office has been so bad bringing in consistent players, consistent DPs, just players all around. It's like, you bring in these bad players, then you watch them on the field. Hey, they're bad players, so you get rid of all of them. Then you have to bring in new players. Like in 2021, we brought in like 12 or 11 new players. This year, you got rid of like 14 players. You got to bring in a lot of players. Then you just keep recycling players. And like, think about it this way. Like, over the last like decade, look who's been really good most of the years. Portland and Seattle. Remember, they had like the streak of MLS Cups in the Western Conference. And part of the reason why they've been super good is every preseason they have the same team going back at it again. Like, You see Portland, they had Valeri, Diego Chara for a long time. Seattle had Rui Diaz, Ladero, Ozzy Alonso, Jordan Morris. They had players like that every preseason. And for the Galaxy, it's like we don't get that cohesionness, that chemistry in preseason because it's changing every year, and you're scrambling to bring in players every single year. It's just very difficult. And this is another year too where you have to find new DPs, new players. It's still bad too. It's like you need a new striker, you need a new defense after this season. We're still looking for probably a DP winger right now. They're not going to be in. And then next year's their first preseason. We might have to make more changes. So it's like we never really have a team to put out there that stays together at all because we've done such a bad job putting these teams together over the recent years.
Yeah, especially just considering just a lot of these contracts, right? Like it's very short term contracts, a lot of 2 year contracts and stuff like that. And you're not going to get that chemistry, or if you're trying to build something for the long term, you're not going to get something within 1 or 2 years, right? Like that's just not how it works when it comes to building these type of teams. But yeah, I mean, of course, it's concerning that we're just not getting anybody in, and not only just that, but just I mean everything right now is a little bit of a big question mark. Not only just the performance on the field, what's happening outside the field, injuries. We just a lot of things going into the season. And obviously the hype level was going into preseason was like, oh, like the Galaxy have this they have the potential to even be a better team than obviously a lot better than what they were last year, hopefully. But now that's kind of died down, and we're starting to have those concerns again. So it's a big issue, for sure, going into the season.
I just ask you though, how concerned are you about the striker position right now? Because me, I'm super concerned about that position, but some Galaxy fans are just kind of like okay with it for some reason. I think that's kind of insane right now, considering how Jovic played last season and Miguel Berry, not being a very good striker at all. So how do you feel about that striker position? Because I think even if we don't use the DP spot on it, this window in April is going to have to be addressed, or else we're not going to be very good.
I'm concerned in the fact that we haven't seen Jovic yet at all right now. That's my concern, because I don't know how he's going to be. I don't know how in shape he is. Because I can tell you, like I said earlier, I can tell you right now that Miguel Berry, you're not going to be confident with him starting in the season, right?
No. You'll get little to no production.
Yeah, so it's like you're not going to be confident with that. Yes, Jovic had a really bad season last season, but we still haven't seen him, play a single minute. So that's my only concern is where is Jovic is at right now, because he could be in a different mindset, different, levels physically and stuff like that. So that's my only concern right now.
But even Miguel Berry being the backup striker, though, like I always kind of thought, and I've said this many times before on here, I think Miguel Berry is kind of that Preston Judd player, kind of that third string player that doesn't really get much playing time or starts. Jovic is a really good backup striker who are looking to find his 2022 form again, and we need that starting striker. Like I still feel like we really need that starting striker, and some people have told me that like the Galaxy might target that in the summertime. Like the summertime, bro, it's too late now. Like, if we go into the season, Jovic is shit again, like he was last season. Miguel Berry is who we expect him to be. It's like, dude, we're not going to be a good team. We're going to be towards we were last year, like 13th, 14th in the conference, looking to try to build up, and then the hole's too big, and then even if you bring in some players in the summertime, it's too late. So do you want to do that again, or do you want to bring in a striker before the window's over? This window's over in April, because right now it's not going to cut it at all. And you're hoping for Jovic to be good, and you can't even say that because his entire time at the Galaxy, he's been awful in the starting lineup.
Yeah, starting wise, yeah, he hasn't been great. Yeah, because and not only just that, but like if you don't get that production from your number 9, then that means everybody else has to step up, right? Like everybody's gonna have to step up and somehow like spread the production with everybody, which I think the Galaxy can. Like I think with the players that we have, I think they can spread that production. I mean, we saw it last year, with Ricky getting goals, Tyler Boyd getting goals, Douglas Costa was providing the assists.
It was not good last year at all offensively. It was pretty bad.
At some points it was okay. Now I'm saying like what I'm saying is that a lot of players, when they got production, it wasn't just one person getting it. It was spread out.
It can't be like that again, though. It can be like that, but we need a number 9 who's a lot better because, yeah, statistically, our offense last year, I think it was like the 10th best in the league. It looked a little better, but when you really watched it for a whole season, especially in the first half of the season, it was just very rough compared to what the LA Galaxy should be and what they usually have been on offense.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, but I don't know. But, I mean, striker right now, like my concern is just like where is Jovic at right now? That's my only concern. Um, but I mean, if we're talking about like our depth, I'm definitely concerned in the fact that I think you do need at least one more person, which again is still question. I still kind of question the fact of why did we let Billy Sharp walk or in that instance, or why didn't you keep Preston Judd or anything like that? It's like to me, it's like if we weren't going to bring those guys back, I expected to at least bring another player, or in that position at least for sure.
Man, I wish we had 2021 Chicharito on this roster. That would be so nice right now.
I mean, yeah, it would be really nice, honestly. And he looks like he's in shape. I mean, who knows what he does with Chivas? I already see it. If he has production with Chivas like right away, everybody's gonna start saying like, why didn't we keep him? Why didn't we should have never
Yeah,
let him go. We should have given him another year. I already see it, man. I already see people saying that, even
it's
though
funny
everybody
because
wanted.
I know you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go.
I know you really like Chicharito a lot because it's part of your national team, but I like Chicharito a lot too. I think he was a good player for us, especially when he was healthy. But it's kind of strange. A lot of Galaxy fans did not like Chicharito at all. I don't know if it was just personal agendas based on their nationality or, they just didn't like his career as a whole. But like, after last season watching Dan Jovic start and this season watching Miguel Berry play preseason games, having Jovic as a projected starter again, I think you're gonna watch him and say like, look back at that if you're a true Galaxy fan and say like, maybe we should have embrace Chicharito a little bit more and maybe giving him a longer opportunity. If we can't find a solution to the striker position, you would have realized that we had it better than you thought you did at that position.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, do I think him letting him go was the right move? Like, I think it was to a certain extent. But like, I'm just saying, like,
Not if you don't replace him.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, it was good. It was good because we thought we were going to get a replacement, but we haven't gotten that replacement yet. But like what I'm just saying is though, like if it doesn't pan out in that position, I already see everybody saying that why did we let him go when everybody wanted to kick him out of town, and for no good reason either. Like I understand, didn't have a great season, got injured last season, but still had some really good production. Like I mean, you can't deny that he came here and
His
had
time here, yeah.
Yeah, like he had something, but but again, that's down the line, for whenever that happens. But hopefully he has a good start with Chivas for sure and stuff like that.
Think about it this way right now, though. With that third DP spot, like who would you rather have starting? Diego Fagundes, who looks like he's in shape right now and had a near all-star caliber year 2 years ago, almost leading the league in assists, or Miguel Berry, who is barely, and I mean barely being kindly, an MLS level player right now? Who would you rather have like as a main piece of the team or as a DP player? It's obviously Diego Fagundes, so I don't know why with the Galaxy's front office wanting to sign a winger at the third DP spot position, it just does not make any sense to me. Especially when you sign Gabriel Peck, it's like that's kind of your winger signing. All right, we have our center midfield DP. Now where's our striker DP? Like you kind of have to balance it all three. Not winger, center midfielder. Just no real striker presence. That just doesn't really make any sense to me. But oh well, I guess. I hope it's not the case, but we'll see.
Yeah, but and also not to mention like when Billy Sharp actually like left, like I forgot what podcast he went on, but he went on some podcast and they even mentioned that their plan was to get a DP striker. At the time, yeah, I'm assuming at the time that was Vanny, still GM Vanny. So who knows if this is Will Kuntz leading the. Well, I mean, it is going to be him leading the. I guess who they sign as the DP, but like at that time it was like the plan was to get a DP striker. So it's like we haven't heard anything about that. Like I mean, we heard a few rumors in the beginning which were very unrealistic. We've heard a few rumors recently that could be a possibility, but at the end of the day, it's like we haven't seen anything definitive for when it comes to that. And again, Will Kuhn seems confident in Dejan. I can't have that confidence yet until I see him play, and see where he's at. But as of right now, like the confidence ain't there for that position. And I to me, I still think we got to get that DP striker. I don't know about the winger. I know that's the position that they're going with, but I don't know. To me, I think it has to be the striker, especially if, like we said, they let go Chicharito. You let go of the other depth pieces in there, and you got to bring somebody in for that spot.
It should be the striker, but it's definitely going to be the winger based on what we've heard. They've got rumored to nothing but DP wingers since they signed Gabriel Peck, so it tells me it's probably going to be a winger, but you're right, it probably should be a striker to balance out the team.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, but we'll see. Anything could happen within this next week. Anything could happen within these next couple of weeks before the season starts. So, we'll see what happens there. Um, let's go into our previews because we got a couple previews to talk about. We do have one this Wednesday against NYCFC. That will be on Valentine's Day, actually. So that'll be at the again Coachella Valley Invitational. I don't know what time they play. I know it's still kind of early. I don't know if it's
It's at
at
12, I think.
11. Oh, it's noon. Okay, that's perfect for me because I can watch it. But yeah, they play it. They have a midday game against NYCFC. Their second to last preseason games. What do we expect from this one against New York, and how what are your thoughts about this one?
Yeah, so this is our final two preseason games. I think right now we need to start going all out. Like we even heard it before. Like the home opener is about like what 2 weeks away, I think. So
Little
I think
less,
this
little less.
preseason game, a little less.
Yeah.
All right. So I think these two preseason games we need to go all out now. Actually start to get ready. Whoever's gonna go 90 minutes during Inter Miami, I think they need to go 90 minutes here. And probably, I think that means Edwin Cedillo is probably going to start week one because Brugman, I think he's going to expected to play these last two preseason games, but he's probably not going to start versus Inter Miami. And I guess everybody else is like, if they're ready to go, they have to go. The guys that can go 90 minutes need to go 90 minutes. The guys that plan to be part of the team week two, like maybe Jovic, he needs to play some minutes or, yeah, just guys like that pretty much. We need to see guys actually go extended minutes. It's been a good trial run for, I guess, G2 or some of the draft prospects, but yeah, no, now it's time to actually go 90 minutes these last two games, and we need to see like some things. And not getting a win so far in preseason, yeah, it's just preseason, but this could translate over to the regular season, and I think it is likely to happen if we don't really make any changes on and off the field.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know about 90 minutes, but I do expect them to play a good amount of minutes.
At least
We start.
75 then.
Yeah, I was gonna say like at least 70 minutes is where we got to be at for these games. Maybe I'm assuming for the last game that's where we definitely got to get those 90 minutes in. But at least for this one, it's got to be at least 70. I'm assuming some players will get to that 90 for this game. But yeah, this has got to be the one where okay, we got to start using the players that we're going to possibly use week one, and try to get what we need, what we can. Like we said, it was a good trial run for some of those players that got the opportunity. Great for them, but now we got to focus on the guys who are actually going to play, the guys who are actually going to contribute, and not saying don't disrespect to the other guys, but like still though the guys who are actually going to be playing that week one, most likely. So yeah, I mean we'll see how it goes. I guess the only other than the striker position and things like that, I guess the only other position that we haven't really figured out is the goalkeeping position. So it'll be interesting to see who starts at goalkeeper for these next two games, because of course there has been this goalkeeper battle, and they've had shared, the load of production, I guess, in that spot. So we'll see what they start with there. But yeah, 100%. This is where we got to start seeing some players get some minutes in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned injuries before too. Like I'm wondering how Ricky Puig is doing because he didn't play last preseason game and he's dealing with muscle discomfort. Apparently that's not very good. It might not be a serious injury. He could still be ready by the time we need him to be, but still, it's like the fact that he's in discomfort right now is not where you want to be at right now either.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see if he plays this in this one, or if he plays limited minutes, that'll be fine too. But we'll see how he goes. You know, with his injury. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. I mean, yeah, like I said, muscle discomfort. I don't think that's something that'll be anything drastic, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, of course, when it comes to the players, though, like, I mean, we got to see what we got. And also for the second game on Saturday, which we play on. Who do we play on Saturday for our last game? I forget who
The
we
Red
play.
Bulls.
We play Red Bull. Oh, so we go to both New York teams back to back. Yeah, so we also play the Red Bulls on Saturday. So again, that's also another game where I expect, our starters to, play and like you said, get the 90 minutes and, be prepared for week one. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts about the Red Bulls going into that game. I mean,
No, it's the final preseason game. I think our stars do need to go 90 minutes, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who our stars are, who's available, if we possibly get anybody in. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, It kind of sucks too because like a couple weeks ago, like going into the off season, even kind of going into the preseason, I think vibes were really high. Like I know we did an episode saying like we think this club is turning it around when we signed Gabriel Peck. We liked the signings that we were making. We were optimistic, and now it's just kind of like a lot has kind of deflated. It's like the balloon has popped a little bit. It feels like I don't know, like not that we had super high expectations because it's the first year of a new sporting director. It's still kind of a retooling year. There's a lot to do, but I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed with how everything's just kind of fallen flat on its head this last couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel great right now compared to how it did earlier on.
Yeah, definitely for sure. The hype has definitely died down. Since the beginning, for sure. But but hey, you know what? If they win these next two games, and maybe if they look good in these next two games, maybe that confidence, sort of shifts a little bit depending on the result. But if they lose these next two games, then that's maybe where a lot of people might lose their minds if they lose these next couple games or don't get a win just in general. But if they win these next two couple games and they look good, then maybe the hype comes back a little bit again. But we'll see about that. Yeah. But any other points you want to talk about with these next couple games? Any other thoughts?
No, just like I'm super concerned about the striker position with Miguel Berry. Again, I don't really like to talk down to him. He's not supposed to have a big role at the team, but I'm just concerned he's our backup striker and that he's starting right now and Jovic is not even in the team. Like after the way Jovic played last year, I'm so concerned where goals are going to come from. And the fact that I'm concerned where goals are going to come from when our biggest problem is conceding goals, like you said, is just like I don't know, like in a sense it's like it just feels like right now we're going to have a really bad season again unless we do something about it, or unless the players that were injured come back and look really good. But yeah, it is preseason, but these problems are going to translate to the regular season too, and I'm concerned right now. But we'll see what happens.
Speaking of Jovic, have we even gotten an update on when he can possibly play, or if he's even going to play a preseason game?
They said he was day today, but and day today he said that like a week ago, and he didn't even feature in the last preseason game. So I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I think Brugman's supposed to feature possibly, but again, like one preseason game, two preseason games, that's not enough for week one. So we're starting off the season shorthanded for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna start. It's disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like we always say, we can only hope for the best, right? So
we always say that, but we never get it.
Nope, we don't. But we still got to keep those vibes going. At least some sort of positive vibe. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the episode for today. Can't thank you guys enough for watching and listening. Of course, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me at Insider Galaxy on Instagram, on X. Go follow LA Galaxy Central on Instagram. Any other thoughts you want, or anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
I really hope we sign a player from the international window at some point. Like, please, like, I've been waiting for weeks now and it hasn't come. So please just sign somebody. That's good.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree with that too, and everybody would want to see some sort of signing. But yeah, hopefully the same thing too. That we get that. But anyways, yeah. Thank you guys. Be a friend. Tell a friend about the podcast whenever you're listening to this podcast. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and yeah, thank you guys. 7 words